Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors! On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we will be taking a look at the final character from the most recent wave of vintage collection figures, R5-D4 from The Mandalorian, a droid who's built for adventure and a familiar face from both the Star Wars and collecting world. This figure is going to be a must-have for any collection, especially with the recent addition of the N1 Starfighter in the vintage collection, which has been a breath of fresh air in terms of new vehicles. It's also been wonderfully engineered so that this droid can pop off the head and you can attach it to the N1's co-pilot area, recreating most of those scenes from Season 3 of The Mandalorian. But with all that being said, let's take a closer look at R5-D4. Taking a look at our vintage style packaging, we have R5-D4 on a Mandalorian card back with the Star Wars logo up top. We have a nice image of R5-D4 in Peli Motto's docking bay with the Kenner logo down below, which looks really nice when paired with that classic astromech. I will say that this card back image really makes me want a Peli Motto figure in the vintage collection. Taking a look at the droid, he looks really nice on that red name pill color, just pops nicely, but the one thing I will say is, this figure doesn't come with any accessories, unfortunately, and I think this would have been a good opportunity to put one of Peli's pit droids in there. Something kind of like TVC 1.0, where we actually saw pit droids with some of the pod racers, that would have been a cool way to get another figure into the line and, just put a little bit more bang into the buck for this figure. On the back, he is VC 303 in the line, R5-D4, with a small informational blurb about him, the vintage collection logo, and a nice image of him here on the left. It's great to see R5-D4 make his way into the vintage collection again. I didn't have the previous release, so I'm happy to add this one to my Mandalorian carded display. And let's be real, this droid is built for an adventure, so many of us are going to want him for our N1 Starfighter displays. And taking a look at R5-D4 out of the packaging, there's not a whole lot new here that we're not familiar with. He's the Builder Droid mold, which, many of us have seen time and time again, which is my favorite mold personally. It's got some good articulation here, you can move this thing a little bit. The middle strut comes out, you can put that back in as well, and then his head moves on a swivel, so good stuff there. I will say, this is the most important part because you're going to want to take this head off and then put it on your N1 Starfighter. Also, Hasbro went out of their way to make sure this would be a silver metallic color, which is great to see. It would have been a real shame if that was just like white plastic. So yeah, good stuff there. And then Hasbro also did the running change of making sure that, the three stripes would finally be painted on the back of R5-D4, which has never been seen before. So very, very good stuff to see there. And then, he's got some pretty decent weathering. He's not very, very dirty, but yeah, I think he could use a little bit more, so maybe I'll give him a nice wash and add some weathering myself. But yeah, a really good looking figure and definitely happy to have this for the N1 Starfighter. R5-D4 has certainly been through a lot. He was part of the rebellion, sold by Jawas, rejected for his blown motivator, worked alongside Peli Motto and her crew, and finally participated in retaking Mandalore. You can definitely say this astromech was built for adventure. While the Builder Droid mold doesn't offer a hefty banth's worth of articulation, the figure can carry out most of its base functions and will look great when added to our shelf displays. I really appreciate Hasbro hearing the fan feedback during the figure's announcement and finally correcting the missing red paint applications on the back of R5-D4, who's now ready for adventure. This is the way. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at the latest addition to the vintage collection, R5-D4 from The Mandalorian. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.